Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel in another video where we share our thoughts on retro handhelds. Today we're going to talk about our daily carry, a daily kit that we carry with us just to pick up and play a few games on the go. Obviously before us we have an original Game Boy, and this was our original daily carry, though back in those days it was a little harder to carry with us every day. And right now this is our preferred device, the RG351V made by Ann Bernick. Obviously it takes a lot of design cues from the OG Game Boy, which I'm a big fan of, very nostalgic feel, and I've even heavily modded this unit with different buttons and a screen liner here to make it almost exactly like the original Game Boy. But today we're going to talk about our new device. That's right, the Miyoo Mini. Now, as you can see, comparatively this device is very small compared to the RG351V, and the original Game Boy even larger. The reason that this device is so attractive is because of its size. It can fit in a pocket. And in fact, this case is a playing card case, not originally meant for the Miyoo Mini. Now, we've modified this case a bit and put a perfectly finger-sized hole in the back right here, and I'll show you why. To remove this device without that hole is extremely difficult, but with it, the device comes right out and is easily popped in and out of the plastic case. Now, these plastic cases are available on Amazon.com for a very low price. You probably even have to buy them in a 3-pack because you can't buy one on its own. And we just drilled a half-inch size hole in the back of this unit with a common hand drill to clean it up. Make sure that you drill from both sides, but after you've done that, it's perfectly sized to put your finger in that hole so that you can pop out the unit. Now, let's talk about the Miyoo Mini a little bit, and let's go over the hardware first. Obviously, the design cues take a lot from the original Game Boy, and then of course its successor, the 351V. 4 face buttons with a D-pad, start and select right down here in the bottom. I mean, we've seen this design many times before. I even like the graded corner, rounded graded corner with the grills to make it look almost like a mini Game Boy, right? Perfect. But what's really interesting about this device is a couple of very specific things. And first we're going to turn to the volume control. On the side of the unit is an analog scroll wheel. That's right, not an up and down button, but an actual scroll wheel to adjust the volume. Huge perks to Miyoo for this little addition. Big fan of the scroll wheel. In addition to that, on the bottom of the unit, we have a headphone jack, a single SD card reader, and USB-C charging, right? Every device that you buy today should have a USB-C charger. If it's got micro USB, I gotta tell you, I would shy away from it. Only because this standard is gonna be where you want to be in the future. And micro USB is just on the way out. On the top, you're gonna have a battery indicator, power light battery indicator, and the power button itself. On the right-hand side, nothing. On the back, and this is where it gets really interesting, we have 4 shoulder buttons, right? We have left and right, L2 and R2 to give you that stacked shoulder button feel. Now, of course, they're in line here, and the body you can see is a little curved, so it makes it a little bit easier to access those buttons when you're holding it in your hand. But these 4 trigger buttons are really going to be where this device differs from a lot of devices on the market. Because if they give you shoulder buttons, they only give you 2. Now, the RG351V had 2 shoulder buttons as well, and that's what made it so popular. Here's where we stray from the RG351V. You'll notice that there is a back cover. Underneath this cover is probably one of the best additions to this design that I think Miyoo Mini made. It's a little bit difficult to get off, but that's okay, because I want it to be difficult to get off. I don't want to be able to just pop it off right away. There it is, a removable battery. Standard size, standard make, standard setup. In fact, this battery is a replacement battery for the original Miyoo battery that they sent me, because I like to have a spare battery. Keep one charged at all times, and then have the other one available for play. Now this one's a little bit harder to get out than the original because it doesn't have a pull tab, but a little tap, and there it comes. Right out of the unit. Fully removable. Obviously just 3 pins to attach the battery. And you can replace the battery at any time. So I'm going to say that this is probably one of the best features of this hardware device. One of the best features. Not the best feature, but one of the best features. Big props to Miyoo on creating a removable battery and making sure the device has one, because this is where your devices are going to have longevity issues. These batteries will fail, that is certain, and you want to make sure you can replace those batteries. Make sure it seats back in there, no problem. Back to the front. Now on this particular device, I have already applied a screen protector. It's a glass screen protector just to make sure that the screen itself does not get scratched or scuffed. You can't even really see it on camera here, but there is a glass screen protector on this device. I just want to make sure that, you know, we're upfront about that. Turning the unit on, pressing and holding the top button, green light comes on, screen displays, and it boots up. It's very quick to boot up, and it'll boot up right into the OS. Now, I have Onion OS loaded on this device right now because I'm a big fan of the modding community, and I like to use most of the modded ROMs that come out. So this device is running Onion OS. Now, one of the things that we're going to look at is the multitude of settings that you get here. First and foremost, a brightness adjust, so we can dim this down a little bit so that you can see a little bit better on the camera. Now, it doesn't go as dim as I'd like. The 1 out of 10 is still pretty bright on camera here. In person, it's much dimmer. But on the camera, it is still a little bright. We'll stick with it though and keep moving forward. One of the things that I'm going to say about this device that is standout, and that it is an extraordinary feature, is the screen itself, right? This is a 2.8 inch screen with a 640 by 480 resolution. So what does that do for us, right? The RG351V is a 3.5 inch screen, and it has a 640 by 480 resolution. So a much smaller screen with the same resolution creates a very crisp picture. Now, a lot of people are complaining about a haze on the screen itself, probably due to the type of laminate that they use, or an unlaminated panel. And I gotta tell you that in person, I've had a couple of these devices and they've all been pretty much the same. They're great, they're fantastic. There's really very little problem with the screen. I don't know if there were some issues with the early runs, or maybe some of the ones that they sent out to reviewers ahead of time. But if you buy one today, direct from Miyoo, trust me, you're not gonna have a problem with any type of hazing on the screen. One of the things that I'll say is where most of these devices fall short is their software implementation. This is running a proprietary version of Linux, so it's not Android, so there's no Android compatibility here, but that doesn't take away from its performance. It does, however, take away a little bit from the UI. Onion OS is a lot better than the stock software that they give you, so I would certainly recommend you upgrade to it. Here's the thing. This is the first device where I've started to use the favorites feature, and I'll show you why. If you go into the game section, it gives you a little bit of an organization feature with different systems and the cartridges that those systems look like. It's kind of cool that it changes when you mod over it. But here's the thing. When you go into those games, all you get is a simple list, right? And as you can see, I have 788 SNES ROMs. Just SNES, right? If you go into the NES ROMs, that's right, there's 864 ROMs. So obviously I've loaded my entire ROM library onto this device. It's very difficult to navigate with this kind of a scrolling list. The shoulder buttons do allow you to skip through, but as you can see, it does kind of take some time to load the screen sometimes if they aren't preloaded already. So here's what I would suggest. It's the first time I've started using this on a device, but use the favorite section. Favorite your most popular games and put them in a list. And you'll see that the list is pretty long, but it's certainly not as long as 864. In total, there's about 44 games on this list, right? So, as we always do with these devices, let's do a little bit of testing. Let's see if it passes the Super FX test. You think Star Fox is going to run on this little guy? Let's see. Oh, listen to that sound. No crackle, no interruption, nothing. Looks almost perfect. Now on camera, the color looks a little distorted, but I can guarantee you that in person the colors are right on. And you'll hear no clips or clipping, no cracks or anything. And you know from our videos and lots of other videos on the internet that by now, if this device wasn't going to be able to handle Star Fox, we'd know it already. Let's get into a game just to be sure. Was that crack? Or was that just the buzzing of a tiny little speaker with that bass coming through? Let's find out. God, that's smooth. Look at that. It's almost better than the original console quality. Almost. Oh yeah, look at that. That's super responsive. Yep. You can tell just from the sound. Boy, this is hard to play on the screen. Okay, that's not going to work. But despite my terrible, mediocre gameplay, you'll see that the game itself is running without a problem on this particular device. And you can most identify that by the audio. So, I think that is a pretty definitive test on the power of this particular mini handheld. Now, it is employing a Linux-based implementation of RetroArch. So all of your cores are going to be running in RetroArch for every system. The caveat to that is that they are highly optimized for this Linux operating system and this particular hardware. So I can guarantee you that if the Super FX chip games work on SNES, that everything all the way up to PlayStation 1, not including N64, are going to work well. So what's unfortunate is that this device still is unable to really run N64 games. However, that being said, I don't really know if you'd ever want to play N64 games on this console because the controller configuration is just so outlandish. And that goes with GameCube games as well. I know a lot of people have been talking about GameCube availability on the Odin and some other devices that are out there, and here's my deal. If you are not playing with a GameCube controller, then you're not playing the game the way it was meant to be played. And the same goes with N64. So if you're into those games and that's what you're looking to play, more power to you, but I got news for you. If you're not playing with a GameCube controller or you're not playing with an N64 controller, it's very difficult to play those games and remap them to a standard controller setup. So just my opinion, my thoughts on GameCube and N64 gameplay. If you really want that, guess what? Put it on a console, plug in an actual controller, and play it there. On a handheld, however, it's perfect for anything from Atari 2600, Game Boy Advanced, Sega, Genesis, Game Gear, NES, PlayStation, and, of course, Super Nintendo. Now, you can load all kinds of consoles onto this device, and there's support for lots and lots and lots of consoles. I'm not going to go through the whole list now. You can certainly look that up on the internet elsewhere, but save it to say that there are a lot of different supported consoles for this particular unit. One thing I'd like to see in the future is for Miyoo to open up their software and their kernel to the development community. I think this device has a lot of potential. I think the software is its only weak point, and I think that the community at large would really do a lot with this device if Miyoo were to open up their source code. I don't see the reason why they wouldn't. I don't know why we would want to keep anything proprietary. I think these devices are great. I think the prices are fantastic. I mean, you could pick one up on AliExpress if you're willing to wait for 45 bucks, which is a great, great price for what you're getting in this little device. And remember, this entire package with the 640 by 480 screen, the removable battery, the analog, volume control, all of these, this entire package fits into a device the size of a pack of playing cards, which is very pocketable. So you can throw it in your pocket and carry it with you anywhere you want to go. So for 50 bucks, I think that's a great deal. I think it's a huge selling point for this device. So if you're looking to get into a pocketable handheld device and you got 50 bucks, this is a great place to start. And it would be my recommendation on where you should start. I hope you enjoyed the video today, and we're going to keep making more of these videos just on devices that we're using and we're interested in, no particular order or any particular subject. If you give us a like and subscribe, it'll help the channel out to grow so we can keep making these videos. Feel free to ask any questions you have down in the comments. I'm always happy to engage with anybody who's got any questions, and I can send some. I'll put some links down in the description for purchasing this device. Listen, this is my personal device. I purchased this myself. I use it every day. Nothing about this channel is ever going to be sponsored or anything like that. So, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.